Yo, how you doing, my guys? Nice to see you again. Thanks for stopping by. Another Design Dojo stream. This is a space on my Discord channel in which I give weekly design assignments to then provide feedback during these live streams, in which I'll be making also my piece for the week live. This one I already worked up a seed of an idea to do something this week. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit hesitant to do this challenge, the protest poster, because I'm not gonna lie, I need to renew my United States visa, and United States, you know how they are, you know what I mean? This is a really peculiar time for that, but I really didn't want to pass on the time to doing this, not budging, you know what I mean? When we need to do something, we need to do something when we need to do it, you know? One of the point of the exercises was not to just proclaim yourself and to say like, I'm against this, but to try to provoke thinking, right? To trigger some sort of response. We have a few submissions here that I feel are really cool. So, okay, I'm planning on because these past exercises that we did were more on the conceptual side, right? The most important part was kind of the idea and sort of the images that we were using, sort of in this one. This one is not so much like an exercise of composition and hierarchy and all of that. We're gonna discuss that for sure, but the most important thing is that we show some sort of coherence between what we're trying to say and how we are using the images, right? To sort of at least channel that into a direction that's coherent, you know what I mean? And then from that we can adjust the composition and all of that and put in all that fundamental stuff in service of an idea, right? Sometimes when you are jumping off of an idea that you think it's important, but in the sense that you feel really compelled by the idea and you feel like it's an important idea, right? Something that's really close to you, then for me at least it taps a lot more into another kind of inspiration that relies more on responsibility than the sake of doing something for the sake of just doing it, you know what I mean? For example, for the Design Dojo, I get a lot of you are getting like so much learning. It's not something that I could just like drop and stop doing, you know what I mean? There's more kind of at stake that I wouldn't have tapped into that energy if I wouldn't come from the idea of, okay, there are some things that I could teach people that maybe are at that beginner level, right? Or maybe some more advanced people that want to review some stuff. So that idea in and of itself doesn't come from an aesthetic place, but it's important, you know what I mean? So I think it's nice to be able to do both sides, to be able to say, yo, I want to do some hard shit, you know what I mean? Some cool posters, but then to have that outlet of saying like, yo, what do I want to accomplish ultimately with the work, you know what I mean? What is it for? To have a small outlet for that, I feel it's important because it taps a little bit deeper than just the masturbatory thing of doing the work that you like for the sole sake that you like to do it, which is amazing, you know? But when other people enter into the picture and it becomes a community thing, then it's a level up, in my opinion. Let's hop into the Discord, my guys. Let's go from the top. Let's see what we have here. We have a few. So, okay, ice out of it. Okay, anti-ice. Off the top of the dome, this is a pretty proclamatory piece. Like, it just states that you're against this thing. Around ice, I was thinking maybe something, when the ice melts, the real America remains. You know, something like this is an era that will pass, right? And what's real America will remain after everything it's gone, really. These are some crazy times. So around that, it is what it is. I like the piece, I like the composition. My one issue with it, it's a bit like muddled. It needs a bit of contrast between the elements themselves. And maybe if you can block out a little bit more like the subjects, and by adding a bit of contrast, you can sort of read the elements a bit better. I just threw in some colors of the flag, of the American flag. Let's get back to the Discord. Oh, She Art, the GOAT again. We talked a lot about this piece on the Discord channel because I remember seeing this and I thought I didn't knew about the watermelon being like a symbol for Gaza. I guess I've seen it used and I didn't get it like instantly. I thought it was grazing on the comic side because it looked like a head, you know, just seeing it swiftly, it looked like a head, and I feared that it leaned too much on that like grotesque impact to work, and I felt on a subject like this it could be done more tastefully. But now knowing about the symbol, I guess that's more of an issue on my part, that I didn't knew about the symbol, you know what I mean? Okay, so kind of the idea, starving because isolated from the outside. A spark of hope, the broken fence is like a hope of change. You can see it's like the hunger, the being isolated, the oppression, and also like the hope. All of that, try to convey it in a single piece, what's kind of too much in my opinion. It's not telling me anything more about the conflict itself. Looking at it again, I like the composition. Yeah, the poster, the image, it's a nice image, you know, it's powerful image. Keep playing around these symbols. There you have something already, right? So the brutality to the watermelon is the brutality to the Palestine people. So, okay, what more can you say with that graphically? I don't know that this poster adds anything other than that, okay, they are bombing Gaza, we know, but make that extra critique of something else, right? Maybe it's an external factor. That's where your own take and your idea comes into play, and what do you want to say other than showing the suffering, you know? It's tricky, but I feel it's important. Pretend you're a fool in order to survive. Okay, some calling out. I like the composition, I like the piece, I like the negative space, but similar to the other one, what kind of imagery could you show us? Make the critique, like put the symbol there that would critique the element that you want to critique, right? Yeah, I really like this piece. I guess it speaks a lot on the current. There is a lot of looking to the side. Actually, right now, guys, I'm reading this book, The Divide, and it's really nice. It goes through an entire overview of colonialism all the way to neoliberalism, what we have today. If you are kind of on the fence on some of the political topics, this book really outlines it like really well and really easy to follow, and goes from the beginning, you know, from the beginning of history to almost current day, to try to understand how everything is sort of happening, you know, and it's a really great book. This one I wanted to talk about. Fashion shouldn't hang on a body count. This is a copywriting poster because the image cooked. The symbols are great, like the bones in the jewelry. There's something about jewelry that you use it to flex. It's not more in the realm of the essential to live, you know. So there is something about that. You could get rid of the copy and the piece would work. Something around this composition, I feel it works a bit more. Here you're making a critique of the fashion industry, but in this one I feel that with the word you are elevating the critique to like the entire value structure of society, and it makes that contrast in the subjects you're trying to touch with the poster a bit more far apart, and it creates a bit more tension, you know, tension in the composition and tension in the what does it mean. This piece has a really nice concept, but I don't think it's properly used here. It's about classism. Essentially something happened in a computer game that exposed the source code. There you see if the system has a liking to you get okay, but the point of the idea was that classism, or let's say like class privilege or inequality, it's baked into the system. Amazing idea to represent this way, but I feel it's too atomized, you know what I mean?
What the f does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
In the context of an idea that has been too atomized. Atomized means that the idea has been broken down into too many small, isolated parts, to the point where it loses its coherence, essence, or impact.
You're welcome.
You know what I mean? Like it should be far more apparent, and then you can make it like have layers, you know what I mean? Because that's another thing we were talking about with with this one, is that it's not that I'm saying that posters need to be simple. That's not what I mean. The pieces can have layers. You can have multiple messages within one piece, but first let's try to, you know what I mean? Let's try to focus on one and try to really nail that point home, and then we can add the layers, whatever you want, right? But one main idea, and then we can work on other stuff. But again, I'm just realizing that this is a really complicated exercise. This is pretty advanced. Keep these ideas in mind, you know, Like, don't ditch it because the assignment is over. Like, keep these ideas floating in your head. Read a book, read an article, whatever it is, and maybe you'll see a movie and an image will be like, that's it, that's the way I show it, and you make the poster, you know what I mean? Four-legged wooden stool, but one of the legs is an assault rifle.
You're trying to build a prison.
How war is the device to keep everything running, functioning. You know, it's one of the main
Trying to build a prison.
of how the world functions, unfortunately.
Following the Rex movement to clamp down with your iron fist. Drugs became conveniently available for all the kids. Following the Rex movement.
Like, just like that, this on a t-shirt would go crazy. This on a t-shirt would make bank, you know?
Nearly 2 million Americans are incarcerated in the prison system of the U.S. They're trying to build a prison. 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 For you and me to live in. Another prison system. Another prison system. Another prison system. For you and me. Minor drug offenders fill your prisons. You don't even flinch. All our taxes paying for your wars against the new non-rich. Minor drug offenders fill your prisons. You don't even flinch. All our taxes paying for your wars against the new non-rich. The percentage of Americans in the prison system has doubled since 1985. They're trying to build a prison. 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 For you and me to live in. Another prison system. Another prison system. Another prison system. For you and me. They're trying to build a prison. They're trying to build a prison.
There we have it. I think it's a tremendous piece. Took a while, but we nailed it. It was a nice feedback round. That was it, my guys. Hope you liked it and hopefully learned something. If you wish to support the channel further, step by the store, get some graphic design assets, some mockups, some textures. You can also become a Patreon. They get a lot of really cool perks as preferential feedback on the Discord and on the Design Dojo. 1 monthly free graphic design asset, discount codes, access to my original Photoshop files, upcoming work in progress versions of the next resources that I'll be releasing. So yeah, there is a lot there. And if money isn't really something you can part ways with, don't worry, I understand. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, share with a friend, whatever you choose to do. It helps the channel a lot. See you in the next one, ninjas.
See now you police the globe. Drug money's used to rig elections and train brutal corporate sponsored dictators.